Welcome back to the third and final segment of today's Tax Time show. In this episode, charitable organizations. What are the charitable organizations and what are not, and how they are charitable organizations, and what are the conditions and rules attached with each one of them. We found out a lot more information from Mr. Ajay Kumar. We're going to continue from that point onwards. What gifts or contributions are tax deductible for this charitable organization?
So any gift that's given out in cash, in kind, that you have the receipt for, contemporaneous receipt, you can claim it as a tax deduction on your tax return. But the key here is you have to be giving the gift to the organization itself. Say for example, there is an Indian temple over here. You give the money to the temple and that's a 501c3 in our example, that's tax deductible. But if you give the money to the priest, अगर आप पंडित जी को के नाम से चेक दे रहे हो, that's not deductible.
Will Pandit ji accept the check? Because most of the Panditjis are bound to accept donation through the temple.
Not necessarily.
Achha.
Most Panditji will be happy to take your cash, to take the check.
Cash is okay, but check, I mean.
They are okay to do it either way,
Achha.
right?
Okay, ठीक है.
But
that's not tax deductible.
That's not tax deductible.
समझ गया मैं. Okay. Now, if somebody has filed for 501c3 and they say they have applied for it, they haven't gotten a 501c3, can you still give them a donation? If you can, is it deductible?
You have the right to give the donation. A non-for-profit company that has filed for the 501c3 application has the right to claim as a 501c3 application filed for 18 months. And the rule is because it takes a lot of time for the IRS to approve this application. So once you file, you can claim that we have filed it. But until you get the approval, the donations that you are receiving are not tax deductible. You have to clearly mention to the donor, we have filed the non-for-profit company status, we haven't received it, so that the donors who are giving the money to you, they know upfront that their deduction is not allowed.
What if time lapse in between this process? That means, I'm just using example, we're in month of July and there's something new saying, okay, we have applied for 501c3, you go ahead and give $1,000 donation to their organization. Somehow they don't get 501c3 approval till end of December 2020, and you go to file your tax return in 21 and you give this $1,000, you want to take a deduction, but they still haven't got 501c3. What happens to that $1,000?
Well, in theory, in this example, you are not allowed the deduction. So all these non-for-profit companies are supposed to mention upfront that right now we don't have the 501c3 status. Please check with us, or we'll let you know towards the end of the year. And a lot of these organizations will give you a summary sheet. At the end of the year, they will send you a summary sheet, how much donation you gave and what's their tax ID number and if it's deductible or not. And they can't really say it's deductible unless they have the status.
Suppose if it's not deductible this year, then and the next year they get 501c3, can you deduct it next year? No.
And that's a great question, but think about it. Why is it not deductible next year? So the tax rules, the tax law changes. What your income tax bracket this year is, it can be vastly different than the income tax bracket next year. If the IRS allowed the benefit to be moved from this year to that year, then a lot of people will donate money now and not take the advantage intentionally because they think their income tax bracket is going to be higher next year and they can push a lot of donations in the next year.
Anything else you want to touch base upon this?
One thing, under the CARES Act, what's most recent is under the COVID-19 situation, you don't necessarily have to itemize to get the benefit of the charitable donations. Under the CARES Act, up to $300 can be claimed even if you are not itemizing. See, in our area, the problem is with the high property taxes and under, the property tax limits being $10,000, a lot of people don't itemize. If you don't own a home, you will not qualify to itemize. That's as simple as that. You take the property tax out, you take the mortgage out. So a lot of people who are donating money, and technically with all this discussion, even though you have technically the right to deduct it, but you are not getting any benefit. And why not? Because you are not itemizing. If you don't own a home, you donate $5,000, your tax benefit is zero. Even though technically it's tax deductible for you, but since you're not itemizing, you are falling into the standard deduction. and you don't get the benefit of the donations over there. So under the CARES Act, up to $300 can be deducted out of your taxable income, even if you're not itemizing it.
Okay, no receipts needed, nothing like that.
No, receipts still
needed.
needed.
Receipts still needed.
You still have to show that you actually donated the money.
Okay.
It's not something that you can just say that I donated.
Okay.
The receipts are still needed, but you don't have to itemize it.
Okay.
A lot of people were discouraged. You don't own a home, you don't want to donate money.
A question comes to my mind,
Please.
and as we always say, no question is a silly question, and then a question always comes to my mind. Charitable organizations and religious, entities, they are in one place. During this pandemic, we have learned that our frontline heroes are in the hospital, and they are the ones who are there, who are saving lives of the individual. If someone wants to donate certain amount of money to that medical institution or for a hospital, for a namesake, right? Are they allowed to accept donations? And if you donate them, is it tax deductible?
Well, a lot of hospitals are actually non-for-profit companies.
Non-for-profit.
Yes, so they will be happy to take your donation.
Okay.
Right? In some cases, they are 501c3 as well.
Very good.
In some cases, it's depending on the hospital to hospital. They will be happy to give a receipt that will become tax deductible for you. But you have to take this example case by case basis. In some cases, the question we get, I really appreciate these doctors, the nurses, the work that they are doing on the front line. I want to sponsor the meal for them, the doctors. Now, in this example, the money is not being given to the hospital, the organization. The money is being spent for the food, for the meal, for these doctors, nurses, the staff. In this case, it's not a donation. So, the best thing you can do is to find a local organization in your area that does the same thing. And then you donate money to this organization, and this organization can sponsor the food over there.
Okay, that's a sponsoring food is a one thing, but I am not limiting my question only to sponsoring food. Let's say some hospital needs more ventilators,
Right.
needs more beds. Maybe they need to build another floor just to be ready for the future. Just God
Right,
forbid,
of
in
course.
case if something
Sure.
happens, they want to accommodate maybe 100 more patients, 200 more patients. You're donating towards that purpose, that hospital can be better equipped just in case if there is another pandemic like that. And you are donating for that reason only.
You have to find out if the hospital is registered as a qualified charity or
Yes,
not.
okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Absolutely.
But if hospital is not registered, then your donation goes in there. They will accept it. You will not be able to claim
Yes,
it.
if it's a non-for-profit company, in most cases they will accept your donation.
Okay, because going forward, that is the one area where I think people should pay more attention to it, because they are the ones saving lives
Absolutely.
and taking care of the people when needed. Okay, now as I understand, as we come to an end of this episode with the charitable organization detail, you want to give out some kind of glimpse of next episode?
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. But before we wrap it up, I just want our viewers to know, if you are donating money to India, an Indian charity directly, that may not be tax deductible unless that Indian charity is registered in US under the qualified charity rules,
Yes.
under 501c3. There are a lot of charities over here in US who are organized to support Indian charities. So you can give money to a local US based charity,
Yes.
and then they can support the Indian charity. But if you are giving money directly to an Indian charity which is not registered in US, your donations may not be tax deductible.
Absolutely, they won't recognize it, they won't accept it.
Exactly. Now, from a next episode perspective, next week, stay tuned. We'll be talking about the art of budgeting and forecasting for a small business. How to get loan. What can you do today to make your balance sheet looks stronger? It's
Yeah.
all about
Interesting.
finding out today what's going to happen tomorrow.
I'm
That's
looking
all
forward to
about
it.
budgeting and forecasting.
I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be interesting. All right. In a closing note, I just want to say Sai CPA Services, a firm located here in the state of New Jersey, provides full-fledged accounting services for the personal accounting as well as corporate accounting. And if you are thinking about starting your own business, what kind of business entity that you should set up based upon your tax liabilities and everything and the bracket that you are in, Sai CPA Services provides full-fledged services. You will see their contact info on the screen. And if you have any question, do send us an email. taxtime@tvasiausa.com. Mr. Ajay Kumar, thank you so very
You're
much.
very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, very much. You're most welcome. And until we meet again, I am Sanjeev Pandya. Do take care of yourself and have a tax-free days ahead. See you next week. So long.